The Aztec civilization. The Aztec civilization mostly lived off of garden-grown food. Most of the food was maize, also known as corn, and squash. And one world-famous food was also known as chocolate or cocoa beans. The Aztec farming included many methods of gardening. One world-famous was the chinampas. Here are some examples of what chinampas were said to look like. So what made the Aztecs use this method of farming? Because of the land of the Aztecs wasn't fertile enough to grow enough food to support the population, this led to the discovery of chinampas. The Society of the Aztecs. For the Aztecs, what you had and got mostly came down to what family you were born in and how big they were. The city of the Aztecs were mostly separated by how the families were with the land and size, as well as if the family had formed with another family, and this would be called Calapuli. This Calapuli was their own form of their own government, and who gets control over what certain farmlands, and this, if it was big, you'd get lots of food. If it was So, how were chinampas made? They were said to be made by getting large plants of mats that float, then placing them one on top of another, and on the bottom there would be a large mud flat, and then canals would be built around them to make sure there wouldn't be an overflow of water. After that, they would put mud, dirt, compost, and dead plants. So, is their food production system a sustainable resource? This food production system was a sustainable resource because it is able to survive without outside help, and since they use gardening skills and method, watering won't be a problem. Because it was a raft-like field and they had a drought system, so the plants never had too much water and always had exactly the amount of water needed for those plants to survive. Corn production in Mexico. I decided to do the Mexican corn production since it matched with the Aztecs, just more of a time-based model. What made Mexican culture use cornfield as the gardening method of farming and production? Since there was a wide open space for corn production, they decided to use straight rows, and in the middle there would be an upside-down boat-shaped canal so that watering would be easy, as well as they would have a drought system in case of a flood. The corn production of Mexico is 88% of Americans' corn production, meaning they are able to produce 10 tons of corn annually. The corn in Mexico isn't just for eating. They worship every piece and use it fully. Examples of this are cobs and stalks are used to feed animals, burned as fuel, or woven into roofing material. Many foods are steamed in corn husk, and corn silk can be brewed into a delicate tea. Is this area self-sustainable? No. Since there's lots of corn together, it will need constant attention. Not to mention that watering system is made by machines that need to be used manually, so this showed this isn't self-sustainable. Bioscience High School. Our food production for this environment. Day 1. Removing the yucca plants. Day 2. Started new planting. Was the Bioscience High School food production a sustainable area? Well, what does a sustainable resource need? Water, space, living and non-living things working together, and interactive biosphere.
If you notice, come on, we'll do it. If you notice what you guys got going right here, and the best thing you guys have for you guys is like right here. See this right here? This hose right here? It's
Yeah.
a drip system. What happens is On a daily basis, that runs for an hour. This will keep this ground moist like it is right now. That'll keep
Right.
that ground wet, so you guys won't have to come out here and do any watering by hand.
Okay, I see what you mean. So seeing that the water from this ecosystem is able to be sustained with no outside help, this is one check on our list for a sustainable resource. The space between the plants was each more than 12 inches, which was the minimum amount of space needed to grow, so they